You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion and be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to GetLVILASIK.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your LASIK journey.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone to another episode of He Said, She Said. I am your host, Asaki, and with me, as usual, is our awesome producer and friend of KLRN, not to mention the entire boss, Rick. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really far away from everybody today. I don't know, most people should know that I'm staying with my dad.
Yeah,
for the following month. So it's been pretty cool, though. It's been pretty cool, I gotta say. Even though it's hotter than Hades down here, it's still pretty cool.
Although I guess since we're going to be talking dating apps tonight, I should have said, "How you doing?" Just kidding.
Oh my God. Honestly, I've never. I don't know. I just whatever. Okay, so.
Okay, I took a second to try to get a drink, and you about made me die on the air. I'm just saying.
No, I was just like, dating apps. I get that people use them. Some people use them very effectively. I personally have a really good friend who met her husband on eHarmony. So, and they've been together for, I want to say they're coming up on their 18th anniversary, I think, or 19th, something like that. So, so it was very successful.
It's hard to even imagine things like eHarmony being around that long. I want to know. I want to know whoever found their perfect one on Farmers Only. I'm sure there's got to be at least one.
Okay, so I live in a very remote area up in Northeast Texas, and I think my neighbor, which is about half a mile away from me, her cousin found one on Farmers.
I was just always loved the commercials back in the day. You don't have to be lonely on FarmersOnly.com. I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. And it's stuck in my head, so I hate you. Wait,
they did not have the best commercials, but I gotta say, when it came to that concept, that was very novel, and I think it was in a way more trustworthy than most other dating apps. Because most farmers don't have time for this kind of shit. They just do not. So if he or she were on this app, I would think that they would just cut to the chase and just not deal with all the BS and, that kind of thing. So maybe that was a successful one. I don't know. I've never used them. I don't think I could. I jokingly once said to my husband, maybe we should sign up for eHarmony and see if we could match each other. And he flat out said, we would never match each other because we're so different. So I said, yeah, okay, that's fair. And we just left it alone. But there are some people that, have used dating apps successfully. I've met a few. But most of the time you hear all of the nightmares associated with dating apps.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, after my divorce, I guess because I really didn't mess with anything at all for like the first year and a half. So at some point in 2021, I actually signed up for the site that we're going to be spending most of the night talking about tonight, which is Bumble, and then the mess that it's in and all the things that have gone wrong with it. And it was a very disheartening experience for somebody that, I mean, to be honest, I never really dated that much to begin with. I usually wound up being interested in somebody that I already knew, pursued that, and then went forward from there, and went from basically up until 4 years ago, one serious relationship to another from the time that I started seeing anyone at all. My first girlfriend, my first fiance, who was actually 4'11" and Puerto Rican, was the one that pursued me. So that was how I kind of got into it, and then things went sideways with that. A lot of people have heard the story. Not going to go into it again. But then about 6 months after that, met the woman who became my first wife, and then because of issues with things that I should have considered before we got together and created a family, that I did not. I had to wind up taking my kids and leaving to protect them. And then about another 6-7 months after that, I met the woman who became my second wife and was with her until 2020, and then was single from now until about a week ago. So I did do some time on the dating sites, and I will say they all suck.
That's the consensus, and like one of the links that you sent me talked about the dating app paradox. And I never thought about it, but yeah, there is a certain paradox that's associated with dating apps, is that when you do have a successful match on these dating applications, you lose 2 customers. So instead of, keeping 2, you lose 2. So that's because they are out to make money. It is a capitalist market. They're not doing this altruistically, So they want you to stay, but that defeats the purpose of the dating application itself. So what do? And the simplest solution to this is you don't pay to go in, you pay to get out. That would actually be a better incentive for these applications. So, for example, you use it for free, and if you find someone and you're done with the dating application because you have found a match, you pay for that service and then you get out of the application. But, who's to say because it is, like I said, free, you can just keep it and just keep your match and not use it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind, because I know what that article was talking about, but the other thing to keep in mind is one of the weirdest things about the whole paradoxical thing about dating in the information age is, or I guess they call it, what is it, like the cyber age or some shit now. But anyway, basically where everybody's online, almost everybody has a profile, you literally have the entire world at your fingertips. So even if you match with someone, there is still the possibility that somewhere in the back of your mind, either you are thinking they can do better, they're thinking you can do better, or vice versa. And it just becomes this never-ending cycle of, well, I don't know why you're with me because you can do better, or I don't know why I'm with you because, and it's just one of those things where it kind of creates this weird vicious cycle. And I think that's one of the things that has, and the only reason I bring it up is because I think that's one of the reasons why so many relationships and marriages have ended in the last several years in between COVID and everything else, is just because there's always like an entire stable of people that are like, well, if he ever screws up, I'm right here. If she ever screws up, I'm right here. I'm just the one who never has that stable because I never look.
Well, but you do bring up an interesting point. I mean, these dating apps, you have, like you said, a profile. Who's to say the profile is truthful? And that's for me the biggest pitfall. Anybody can write anything. As a matter of fact, that's how some agencies have actually got pedophiles, because they do make these applications and, they sign up for these sites and they say that they're a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, they reel them in, and admittedly 13 and 14-year-olds are not supposed to be on these dating sites, but they get in by saying that they're 18. Okay? There is no way for them to check to make sure that you're 18 years old when you're using this. If you pay to use the application, you can say that you're 18 and not be 18. So that's something else to contend with. Somebody might say, oh, I'm a curvaceous 30-year-old looking for fun and whatever. But in truth, what they're saying is that they might be extremely overweight, or what they mean by curvaceous is that they suffer from scoliosis. You never know. So, there's that danger. You just don't know. You don't know if the picture that's attached to the profile is honest. Especially in an age where they use filter upon filter upon filter.
Yeah, I have another horror story from that. Not from a dating site though, but several months ago. One of the friends who I was interested in, who picked somebody else a couple of years ago, had a roommate who was looking for somebody. So she's like, "Are you still single? Because I'd kind of like you to meet this person." And I'm like, "Well, I'm single, but I'm not really looking. But I don't have an issue with going to hang out with him or something." So just to see, she sent me a picture, and I'm thinking, "Ooh, not bad." So then I started looking at, and you can always tell with the filters, because when you get when the background is blurry, then it's a filter, and you really need to pay attention to that, because I got to looking at the picture and I was like, something about this isn't right. So I just went ahead and I said, you know what, I'll just meet up with you guys at work and talk to her for a few minutes and see what she thinks. And the picture made her look like she was maybe 40, 41, and when I her, she looked like she was 65, but still only about 45. So that tells you something. But yeah, it was just, it was just the weirdest experience ever. And I'm like, I'm so sick of this. I mean, from a guy's perspective, makeup is bad enough when it's done a certain way, because it's almost like it's a bait and switch, because it's like when you see Christy Brinkley and then you're like, oh my god, and then you see her without her makeup and you're like, well, she's still pretty, but holy crap.
Completely different.
So to take that and then up it by making it possible for you to, soften your wrinkles, do this, that, and the other, I really feel like it's false advertising. That's why most of the time I just put my face out there and I'm like, you're either going to like it or you're going to tell me I need to keep my sunglasses on. That's an inside joke with somebody.
I don't use filters, and for the longest time, my naivetes was saved me because I had no idea how to use them, so I never did. I had no idea where that was on the phone. I don't have Instagram. I don't have any of these places that have filters, so I didn't know how to use. So I didn't, And what tripped me up was there were several gals that constantly put selfies on social media, and there was one that I couldn't see where her nose was. It was that bad. And I'm like, okay, there's a limit. I get the cute filters, with the mouse ears or the kitten nose, that's cute. I think that's adorable, with the little hearts all over the place. And yeah, I get all that. But when you start trying to erase your wrinkles because you're that self-conscious, you're not doing yourself any favors. I've always said Photoshop is the worst thing to happen to photography in the history of ever. Seriously, I absolutely loathe Photoshop. I think it's an abomination, and I feel the same way about filters because you're expressing a lie, And like I said, if you have the little teddy bear filter, if you have the kitty, okay. No, that's not a lie. You're using a filter to put ears on your head. I mean, we all know that that's not you. So we get it. But when you're using it to actually make yourself look like something that you're not, like younger, that's the line I don't like. I don't like that line.
I don't know. Those whole kitty ears and dog ears and teddy bear ears and all that now. We can't really say that's not the real them because they might be using a filter to express their inner furry.
I'm just saying that Beto probably has a bunch of those filters on his phone. Beto. Yeah, he does. He's never going to let that down. I'm not going to let him.
I don't want to know what all Beto probably has on his phone. Anyway.
But, it's just... for me, it's a detriment because you want the world to look at you. And I think one of the best examples is that crazy liberal idiot JoJo from Jersey or Jers or whatever it is. Her profile picture does not look anything like her actual face. And she had trouble with Twitter because Twitter did not recognize her face, facial recognition, to get her account back. And so she had to fight behind the scenes to tell everybody, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. And people kept saying, but the facial recognition does not recognize you as this person because it's a completely different. They do not look alike. And she used a filter that made the eyes look about, I want to say 10% bigger, and her cheeks were more pronounced and thinner, and her chin was a little bit more pointed, and she just looks like a caricature to me. She honestly looks like a cartoon. And when you see her actual face, it's nothing like that. She actually has a very plump face, which it's not unpleasant. I'm not saying that she's ugly. I'm just saying she doesn't look anything like the photo that she uses for her AVI on Twitter. So, she had trouble getting her account back because facial recognition would not match up. So that was, and she talked about it on a different site, and people were posting her stuff at Mastodon over here to try and get attention from the Twitter people to release her account, because it was locked or something or spent. I don't know what happened with her account. But anyway, that's, like you had that experience when somebody was trying to look a lot younger and then you go meet them and they don't. You do feel lied to, I had one of my nieces was actually on Match.com long time ago. And she met this nice guy on Match.com and everything, and they were talking and all that stuff, and they decided to go on a date. And, she showed me her profile, and, she's using a filter.
Yeah.
And I said, before you go on this date, you need to send him a picture of you without filter. And she says, honest to God, she said this to me, but it will make me look not pretty. And I was like, you're still a very pretty girl. I mean, she is. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I think she's pretty. But she had this complex about looking better, more finished with a makeup filter type of thing going on. And
Yeah.
I was just like, you have to send them a picture of what you look like right now, because that's the only way to be. You don't want to go there and have him like be shocked or whatever. And I said, and believe me, if you send him a picture, I bet you anything he'll send you a picture of what he looks like right now, because that picture that he has on his profile is probably older or has been touched up or his hair is different now or whatever. And so they exchanged photos and they still went out and everything. And they dated for about like 3 months or something like that. But they found that they were not really, compatible or anything. But they remained friends for now, I guess. I mean, 8 years on, they're still friends. So I guess it worked out to some advantage.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
that's always good.
when we looked at his picture when he sent it, I was like, that is not the guy in the picture at all. And she's like, Aunt Aggie, of course it is. Look. And I was like, okay, no. He let his hair grow out. He's got a beard now. I mean, you would not have been able to recognize him. And she's like, well, yeah, that's true. And you know what? He would not have been able to recognize you either. So
They'd have both been looking around for each other going, where are you?
yeah, pretty much.
Marco!
So that's one of the things that I just absolutely love is filters. And I'm sorry if I'm upsetting anybody, if people listening to this think, oh, she must hate my pictures. No, I don't hate anybody's pictures or anything. It's just that you do yourself a disservice when you use these, because you're already, if you're interacting with me, you're already charming. You're already lovely. You're already intelligent.
Oh, wait.
You're already all of these things. That's why we interact. You're all of those things already. I don't interact with dour assholes. So
wait, then why do we talk? I'm confused. Oh wait, never mind. But no,
I'm just saying.
I mean, to me, and this is the inner psychology nerd coming out for a second. For me, like when you hear your voice outside of your head and it drives you absolutely crazy, we have the same thing going on with when we see ourselves in the mirror, but it's in the reverse, because we see every single flaw, we see every single scar, we see every single pockmark, whatever it may be, and we see it all day, every day. So I understand why people are like, well, if I can make the picture look better, then it'll make me feel better. But in reality, all you're really doing is perpetuating the issues that you already have about yourself that you haven't been able to face yet. And I say this, very earnestly, because I was picked on a lot when I was younger because we moved around a lot. It didn't happen until we started moving. Before we started moving, I was always the kid everybody wanted to hang around and, go to recess with, do all these things. Then we started moving and I started feeling isolated all the time. So then I started getting picked on all the time because I was quieter, I was more reserved. I went from the kid that was always raising his hand to reading stuff, even though I could read at a college level at 6th grade, that was stuttering and stammering because I was nervous. And that's part of where the whole fear of public speaking came in, was because I started being picked on and ridiculed a lot. And the reason I say this is because one of the defensive mechanisms that I learned, especially after going to 4 schools in 4 years, was anytime I thought anybody was going to pick on me, I would fire the first shot against myself. What I didn't realize at the time, though, was every doubt that I express to myself about myself bypasses any filters, anything that's built in between my brain and the outside world, and my brain takes that as hardwired programming. So there was a time that I looked in the mirror, and the closest thing that I could tell you that I saw for probably several years was something resembling Shrek. Because that's what I kept telling everybody that I felt like. And eventually my brain believed it. So this is why I don't like the filters. Because all you're doing is perpetuating the issues that you already have about yourself instead of trying to figure out how to work through them. Because people don't see you the same way that you see you. Just like people don't hear your voice the same way that you hear your voice. And when you hear it, you hate it, and everybody else is like, but it's your voice.
Yes.
But it's not what I hear.
It's the same thing with me. I don't hear it. I don't get it. People say, it's so soothing. I'm like, have you heard me screaming and yelling at people? I mean,
that's when the Chenglish comes out, though. That's different.
Exactly. But, it's just that level of, is the dating profile correct? You don't know. You cannot know for sure if anything in that is correct until you meet the person and start getting to know them. Sometimes they put stuff in their profiles just to get your attention, and then they'll tell you when they meet you, well, I only said that to see if somebody would comment on it. Well, if you say that you're a Formula One race car driver, somebody's going to comment on it. They're going to know. They're going to comment.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of Orti's chew toys this last week that got picked up by a really big account that was like, I have a 137 IQ and more of this and this and this training than anybody on this site. And I'm like,
yeah, the copy pasta.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, first of all, people that have the things that you're bragging about having, don't actually brag about having them because they can prove it.
Yeah, it's just like, for a very long time, the whole story with Christopher Lee and his cousin Ian Fleming. I mean, everybody knew Christopher Lee as this very broody actor who did all of these cheesy, scary movies, but then he became this really larger than life actor when he, the resurgence of his career. But when he, people started talking about his prior life before he became an actor, when he was doing Lord of the Rings, and people started finding out all this stuff, and my dad knew about it because Ian Fleming actually lived in Jamaica, and, he was pretty famous in the Caribbean. And so my dad remembers all the stories, and sometimes they would go interview him for a newspaper article or for whatever reason. And so, I'm reading of, people are finding out that, he worked for this clandestine group, and he got stabbed in the back, and he's, done all these kind of furtive, ungentlemanly warfare type of things. And I'm like, he's not the only one. That kind of thing. But the reverse is true. You put your profile, your dating profile out there, and you start saying all of these wild, fantastical things. You better start backing up what you're putting out there, because it's going to be expected, which is why people who do all of these things that are kind of weird and kind of out there don't talk about them. You don't, like you said. Yeah, nobody brags about this stuff.
Well, that's why I'm pretty sure your dad's part of the CIA and just never admitted it because they don't tell you things.
My father and I have had some interesting conversations since I got here. Nothing bad, just different things. No, I seriously, I recently found out that when my dad was a school teacher for
James Bond, isn't he? He's the Puerto Rican. That's what it is.
Well, my dad has an amazing nerves of steel or backbone like you wouldn't believe, because when he was a school teacher, he was teaching high school. He taught physics and I believe I want to say physics and biology, but I'm not sure. And this was before he went to NASA. So one of the school kids, and mind you, this was in high school, so he must have been about 16 or so, threatened my father with a gun. And my dad said, "You're not doing this in my class. If you're serious about this, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get my gun. We'll meet after school right here. Because if you want a duel, you'll get a duel." And this is while the guy is actually holding the gun to my dad. And my dad's saying, "No, you're not going to do it." And I'm like, "Holy shit, Dad." And he was like, "Well, I got mad." That's what my dad said. He got mad. How dare you threaten me in front of all these people? No, you're supposed to have better manners than this. You're supposed to do it after school. Basically, that was my dad.
That's funny.
He's something else, but I mean, yeah, like I said, on all these apps, you have to follow through with whatever you put on that profile. So you have to be very careful what you write, and you can't say, you're looking for a particular type of person, this or that, because you'll get swiped left more often than not when you start being very particular about what you're looking for.
Well, and that's the other thing that's weird about dating today, and I don't mean to cut you off, but you have all of these freaking, like, supposedly dating gurus on all these social media sites that are like, no, be specific and tell them exactly what it is that you're looking for. If you've always been looking for that, and that's usually what you go to find, and you are still on a dating site, you probably need to change your parameters.
Just a wee bit.
I'm just saying. But it's just weird, because that's one of the things that I started looking into, after, being blindsided by a divorce. I mean, not that I honestly kind of in the back of my head always figured it was going to happen. I just at some point started believing that she meant it when she said she was going to stay. But after feeling kind of blindsided with it, that's when I started doing a lot of research, and that's what they're telling people now, is you go find your exact match. And I'm like, there's no such thing. That's the thing, though. There's no such thing as an exact match. And the more you try to drill down to find whatever your perfect person is supposed to be, you're probably going to miss somebody. Kind of figuring that out from experience as we speak.
Yeah, that's why, I counseled my niece when she was on Match.com. You cannot have a set, list of things that you're looking for in a guy, because you just don't know. Now, admittedly, she was picky. She didn't want a smoker, even though she was one. I was like, "You're
whoa, that's kind of hypocritical." I don't want to date a smoker, but I want to be able to smoke. What the? Huh?
Yeah, well, she was trying to quit at the time, so I could understand that she was trying to minimize contact with, people who did smoke. And I said, it's fine if you want to detail habits that you're not looking for, vices that you are not comfortable with, smoking being one. If you prefer him or her, I'm not going to judge, not to drink, you should put that in there too. But you cannot ask, "I'm just looking for blondes. I'm just looking for green-eyed people. I'm just looking for..." You cannot narrow down the search, because you're going to miss out on a lot. And like you said, she doesn't know what she wants. That's why she's on the freaking application. She couldn't find anybody. So, oh yes, by the way, she's still single.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She doesn't choose very well. Let's just put it that way. But anyway.
Orty shouting, "I can fix her in 5." Just kidding.
Oh, let me tell you, I don't want Orty anywhere near her for Orty's sake. For Orty's sake. I'm just saying. This is my family. I wouldn't do this to anybody.
You don't deserve this, Amish. Run.
I don't even like when. Oh my God. I've been very upfront with my friends whenever they get married, and one of my best friends was getting married, and I didn't like her. And she just did not like any of his friends. She didn't like any of our family, nothing, no one. She wanted nothing to do with us. And I looked at him and I said, look, it's not too late. This was on their wedding day. And I told him straight out, it's not too late. And he's like, but they've already paid for it. I said, it is not too late. And now he tells me he wishes that he had heard me out. So
dun, dun, dun.
Like, okay, I rest my case 25 years later. But anyway, yeah, so back to the whole dating apps. The reason we started talking about this was one particular dating app has made waves this past week with a certain change in policy. And I don't know if everybody is familiar, but there's a dating app called Bumble. And it was founded by a woman who used to work for Tinder. She didn't like the fact that there was a lot of rejection of women going on by men. So she founded an application whereby women made the first move. Okay. So it was up to them to determine whether or not to, reach out to the men, or in certain cases, people that were same sex and non-binary as well. But when it came to heterosexual relationships, the women definitely had to reach out to the men first. And so it kind of has not been really good. There's several reasons for that. The one that kind of stood out for me is that women didn't like the rejection. They did not like being rejected. They wanted to be the ones doing the rejection. And I thought that was very interesting because it shows just how much effort that men put in when they're on application sites, on dating sites. And the effort, they put themselves out there, and they're the ones that get rejected, swiped all the time. And women were placed in a position of empowerment, and women started thinking, yeah, we don't like this. We don't like the rejection part. Now, it was couched in different terminology. They said that it was very difficult to have to go through and try to choose and reach out to the men and all that stuff. So they changed the policy to whereby men could reach out first if women allowed it, that kind of thing. And all I could think about was, how pathetic is it that women could not handle rejection?
Well, to be fair, though, you guys don't usually have to. It's society that's now telling you that
that's
you
my
need
point.
to.
It's always been the guy that has to handle the rejection. Women wanted to be equal. Women wanted to be in power. Women wanted to be the ones doing it, reaching out first. And then they figured out, holy shit, this is difficult.
Yeah, it sucks.
I don't like being rejected. How do men do this all the time? Well, I'm telling you how men do it all the time. Society taught them how to do it all the time. And it has been like that for eons, admittedly. It's always been the guy that approaches the girl most of the time.
I mean,
most societies have that embedded in their, cultural psyche.
Not gonna lie, I kind of missed the days you just went and found one, hit him over there with a club, and drug him back to the cave, and that was it. So, pretty easy.
But just I thought that it was really interesting that this application has been. They've had problems. They've had their share of problems.
Did they have problems? Because you've mentioned something about there being an issue with it this week, and I didn't know what you were talking about. So I just did a general search and found like 6 articles all tied to the same site, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah, and it's based out of Austin, Texas. It's actually hometown type of thing, at least for us here in Texas. But it got so problematic that the actual founder just left. It was just, wow.
Yeah.
It's just like, damn.
Founders like, screw you guys, I'm going home. Another inside joke.
Mm-hmm. So that was, and I started thinking, well, I wonder if other dating applications have the same problems. And it appears that they don't have the issues that Bumble does because they're more traditional in the way women and men approach dating. So that's one of the reasons why Bumble has had an issue. They've lost a lot of money because of it. And I'm like, the dating apps will lose money because once you find your match, you're out of the dating app. I mean, if you still stay on, you have issues. And it's not like there aren't some dating apps that you don't leave. Probably the most famous one is Ashley Madison. Everybody has heard about that one. I was late to finding out what that was, as usual.
Whoa, wait.
So
you did eventually figure out what that was?
I had to ask. I did. I had to ask. Who did I ask? Oh! I asked. I asked Brad what it was because he had actually retweeted some news about Ashley Madison, and he made some kind of quip about it, and I was like, "What is that about?" And he's like, "Don't you know what Ashley Madison is?" I said, "I have no clue." This was several years ago. I said, "I have no clue." And he told me, I said, "Holy cow, there's an app for that?" And he says, "There's an app for everything."
Yeah, if you can afford it, there's an app for everything. I'm going to say
it's so funny. I mean, Brad, he is so patient with me, and he does not get tired of having to explain things to me. And he doesn't get tired of my naivete either. Nothing shocks him anymore.
I can imagine the beginnings of you guys' conversations as co-hosts, though. He's like, "You really didn't know that?" No, I didn't.
I had no idea. No, the other day, friend of the chat, ex-Brad, sent me a funny meme. And it was a jar full of some green stuff. I didn't know what it was. And it was like, no picture can make you happy. The picture. And it's this bunch of jars. And I'm like, I don't get it. And he says, you don't know what that is? I said, no, what is it? He says, that's marijuana. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I've never actually seen it. Okay. I never have.
I'm starting to think you may be more sheltered than my girlfriend, and that's saying something.
I am very sheltered. So anyway, but moving on. Like I said, there are some dating apps that are not really dating. They're more like hooking up apps. So those tend to stick around longer because the expressed purpose is going to be met over and over and over. And the purpose is not to find a forever match, but just to find matches that you like, going on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So
Tinder's tagline should be not looking for Mr. Right, just looking for Mr. Right now.
That's exactly. And that's why Tinder is one of the ones that actually is more successful, even though it is plagued with problems as well. And I was not aware of this, but Match Group is the umbrella under which Tinder and Match.com and OkCupid, and they have like 37 or 40 dating apps under that umbrella. So they figured instead of competing, they just buy them out. They buy out the competition, and that's how they keep making money because there is no longer competition. You're like, well, I don't like Tinder. I'm going to go somewhere else. Well, Tinder is owned by Match.com. Or Match Group. So if you leave Tinder for Match, they still get the money.
Yeah.
The money's not going anywhere. So there's that too.
Well, that's just a model for how the rest of the world works now, because if you look at all of these companies that keep cropping up in the news that own all of everything, they're originally traced back to like 4 different holding companies that trace back to the same 2 holding companies that are all held by a single holding company. So there's pretty much an entire company right now that owns most of how we get everything. And nobody wants to admit that fact. It's kind of scary. So yeah, knowing that they've done that through the dating scene doesn't really surprise me either. Because there always has to... The thing about humankind, there has to be some sort of competition, even if it's an illusion. So that way there's like a brand, and if you get tired of that brand, you move on to the next one. And what you don't know is half the time those brands wind up being partnered with one another, owned by the same group. That's like before they sold off KFC, Yum Foods owned like half the fast food in the country. Nobody knew it till they had to go public.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and a lot of people don't know until they go buy a Chili's gift card. You can use this at Macaroni Grill. You can use this at other places. There's like 6 or 7 different restaurant chains that you can use it at. And they're like, I didn't know they were owned by the same people all this time. Well, I'm mad at Chili's. I'm going to go Macaroni Grill.
Thanks for your money.
So,
sorry the right hand pissed you off. Thanks for giving the left hand your money. Just saying.
I mean, look at the hotel chains. The Wyndham Group is huge. They have like 50 different hotel brands under their umbrella. So, you you go to, I don't know, Comfort Inn, right? And you think, oh, finally, I could never stay at a Wyndham hotel because it's so expensive. I'm just going to stay at this little cheap one. Yeah, it's the same. They just have different, rates, different types of hotels, different types of, whatever for everybody's budget, and that's a smart thing to do. But they, instead of doing that with their hotel group, they decided to acquire other hotels under their umbrella to pretty much give you the illusion that there is competition, but there really isn't. They own so many different hotel chains, it's not even funny.
Well, I mean, hell, between the Wyndham Group and Hilton, pretty much every hotel you can think of is... I mean,
Marriott. Don't forget Marriott.
Oh, yeah,
they have a shit ton, too.
I forgot about Marriott. I mean, there is some competition, but the thing about it is, they're like quietly at war with each other behind the scenes, all trying to gobble up the little ones that are left, and then they're going to go to war with each other to see who's standing, and it'll be like that line from Demolition Man. The Marriott won the hotel wars.
Yes. Every single hotel is Marriott instead of every restaurant is a Taco Bell.
I still
Who knew that movie would become, prescient? I didn't.
I didn't either. I didn't realize how prescient it was going to be, though, really. I mean, when you realize that we are now basically the sewer people, because all we want to be is left alone. I'm like, I don't want to eat rat burgers, but I really want to be left alone.
I'm not saying anything, but I don't think a rat burger would be that bad. I'm just saying. Everybody's silent.
No, I just remember the line where he's like, "Oh my god, this is so good." And she's like, "Just don't ask where the meat comes from."
Rata.
And then he's like, "Rat burger?" And then takes another bite. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're hungry enough, you'd probably eat just about anything. R.I.P. Uncle Bozy. Oh, wait. My bad.
Anyway. But yeah, I can imagine that there are some people that still are very attracted to the concept of a dating app to find their forever person. I can certainly understand the attraction to it. It's just that there's so many pitfalls that are associated with it that it defies explanation how some people can. I thought I was naive. Let's just put it that way. I have proved it just now. I proved it that I was very naive. I didn't know what marijuana looked like until I saw a meme. I had to ask my podcast partner about Ashley Madison. I mean, he had to actually explain a tweet to me. How sad is that? So, yes, I am naive. But this kind of naivete where people are in dating apps expecting what they see, as to be truthful, and putting value on the face value, actual value on what's basically face value. That's a level of naivete that I just do not understand. Because in this day and age, how can you put so much trust in what is on a computer, on a laptop, on a phone? I just don't get it.
Well, keep in mind, a lot of the people on these dating apps are also the same people that are waiting till they can have sex with robots. So there's that.
Sad, but true. Oh, God. Just the thought, oh, my God. And it's funny because Brad and I covered this new synthetic skin that UT Labs grew. And I'm like, this is bad. This is really bad.
I feel like I should be playing the Terminator theme underneath everything right now again.
Yeah, and I have to, Al, I am completely with you. If I became a widow, there is no freaking way I would date anybody. I couldn't. We've been out of the dating pool for so long. There's no way. I just couldn't. I couldn't deal with that. And there's, puppies and cats for that. So, I mean, like for companionship. So I wouldn't even, and we have our circle of friends, that'd be fine. But I could not. I just couldn't. Nope.
I got nothing.
I'm just saying, it takes a lot of courage. I mean, look at you. You actually put yourself out there, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but now, a 4th time. No, Zelda, I didn't do anything. Don't call me a matchmaker.
The wheels on the bus go squish, 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 and it wasn't me.
Anyway, but you took that chance, and that takes a lot of courage. It really does. Me, dude, I just learned what marijuana looked like. I don't think I have the gumption to actually try.
Wait till she gets her medical card, and then she'll be like, now I want to date. Just kidding.
It's just, I've been married for 30 years, so it has been such a constant, and I call it the habit of loving. That's what I call it. It has been a constant, and it has become a habit, and it is a good habit that I have. And so if that were to go away, I'm like, I invested so much in that habit. I don't want to have to invest it again. You know what I mean? So for me, that would be like the line. I couldn't do it. I'm not saying that it might not happen. I don't know, but I would not go into, I couldn't go into the dating scene again. I just couldn't. That's tiring. I'm tired.
Hey, Aggie, Andrew just wants you to know it's just oregano with a kick. That's all it is.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know what it smells like. I just now know what it looks like. So, yeah, I've led a very sheltered life, gotta say.
The good stuff kind of smells a little bit like a skunk. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah, my sisters told me that. They told me, and I'm like, how do you know? And they all looked at me and was like, how do you not? It's like, holy shit. I'm like, I don't know. Because I didn't go, places. I didn't know people. I don't know. I was like major wallflower at school.
You should have just looked at him. You should have just looked at him and said, anthropology major.
I know. I'm a dweeb. I know it. But no, I mean, seriously, it does take a lot of courage to get back on that particular horse. And I don't know if I want to dig that much courage up and do it again if something were to happen.
Well, to where I was. You never have to worry about it.
a widow.
Hopefully you never have to worry about it, or by the time you do, it'll be like, yeah, I'm just gonna get a cat. And because
I'm good. Being 70 years old with a bunch of cats, I'm okay. Especially because my sister is allergic, and that would keep her away. So it's a win.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah, that's harsh. I know. It's a running joke with her and me. Don't worry, she knows what I'm talking about.
I was gonna say, did your sister listen to this show? Are you about to? Is there about to be an incoming chancla somewhere?
No, she's the DIY diva. She actually has a very successful Instagram account. For those inclined to follow her handle is pink the number 2 palace, pink 2 palace. So if you're out there and you have Instagram, that's her handle. She's got all sorts of tips and tricks for DIY in your house, and I mean, she amazes me because I don't know what issue I had, and she said, I'll be right over, I'll fix it. And she comes over with her power tools and everything. she literally fixed my one of the sheds had one of the beams had broken because of a tree had hit it. She fixed it. I'm like, how did you do that? It's like, well, this is, and she starts, and I just started, my eyes glazed over because I had no idea what she was talking about. But yeah, she's great. But she is allergic to cats. So we always have a running joke that, you know what? I'm going to go get a cat when I'm mad at her or something. And she's like, oh, you wouldn't, but no, she's great. But anyway, I'm good with having a dog, or, hopefully my snake doesn't die anytime soon, or,
Whatever. Brad's going to send you a cabana boy.
No, he's not.
Oh, yes, he will. Trust me.
No, he will not.
Hey, Brad, Aggie needs a cabana boy.
Nope. But yeah, so anyway.
Oh, come on, little muscular 20-something feeding you grapes.
God,
come on
now. No. I'm at an age where they just do not look right. I'm like, yeah, I could be your grandma. I'm at that point. So I'm going to be 58 this year. And, oh gosh, what was I watching the other day? I think it was a clip from Magic Mike. And I'm looking at things going, ew. They could be my kids. No. Just no. And of course, people joke with me because, oh yeah, but you like Keanu Reeves. Yeah, Keanu Reeves is actually 2 years older than I am. So that's okay. I can like Keanu Reeves. Okay. He's a contemporary.
And yet, Aggie's like, age is just a number, Rick.
No, what really freaked me out was, we were watching Lord of the Rings. I was with my sister-in-law. She's a big fan, and she was complaining about Viggo Mortensen. And I'm like, what's wrong with him? And she's like, everybody thinks that he is so hot and everything, but I can take you downtown to the bus station and find 5 guys that look just like him. She doesn't like the scraggly look. And I was like, yeah, well, he might be a little too young for us anyway. And she looks at me and says, he's 51. And I'm like, no. And at the time I think I was 40 something. I said, nah, he is not 51. And she's like, oh yeah, he is. And I'm like, I went to, IMDb and I looked it up and I said, holy shit. He doesn't look, and the same thing with Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd doesn't look, he still looks like he was in Clueless 25 years ago. Actually more like 30, because that came out in 95. So he still looks the same. I don't know. Maybe he's Dorian Gray. I'm not sure. But there's just, I have this block. If they're like under 45, I just can't. They just don't look right to me.
And yet,
isn't that weird?
And yet, age is just a number, Rick.
No, age is just a number. But what I'm saying is, to me,
I'm just teasing.
They look like they're still in their teens. To me, that's a mental block. They could, like I said, Paul Rudd, I couldn't. Paul Rudd looks like he's 22. To me, he looks too young. I know he's not. I'm well aware he's older than I am.
I'm just giving you credit. So anyway, so the Night of the Living Dead lights have kicked off in Europe. This should be fun.
What?
The Aurora is kicking off in Europe.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're a massive Corona. So there's going to be a solar. The sun is flexing, basically. I bet one of my favorite trips was to Sunspot, New Mexico, where the solar observatory is, and it was so cool to see all of these massive, images of the sun that were, going on. These were live images being transmitted. It was so cool. I bet you they're having a lot of fun over there. I don't know if we're going to get them this far south, though. I think they said it's
not.
As far south as northern Alabama. I think that's what it said. So who knows?
So Andrew just wants you to know that he couldn't do Paul Rudd either. So in case you were feeling kind of.
Okay. But anyway, moving on. Before I step in it again. Age is just a number. I can't believe that's coming back to haunt me.
Wouldn't you actually have to step out of it first before you could step back into it again?
This is true. Actually, if I'm honest, I actually did date. This was well before I got married. I dated a man that was 6 years younger than I was.
I hope you weren't dating anybody while you were married. That would have been kind of weird.
No. He was 6 years younger than I am. So, and we're still good friends. Isn't that funny? We're still good friends. And he has grandchildren now. But I introduced him to his wife. So, that was kind of cool. Anyway.
So this matchmaker thing isn't new for you, is it?
No, it's. I'm not a matchmaker. I'm not. I just happen to be there at the right time, I guess, or I say the right thing, or I don't know. But I don't set out to be a yenta at all.
You don't have to. You don't have to set out. It just happens naturally.
I don't know if you remember our friend, the one that got married to the OnlyFans chick.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he actually had asked me for my opinion on certain people, and he went so far as to ask me to help him get a match with somebody on Twitter. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't do that. That's not me. I don't do that. But the person he ended up picking would have been the last person that I would have picked for anybody.
See, you should have tried to help. Now, for all we know, he's buried somewhere in the mountains. Oh, wait. My bad.
Oh, wow. That's pretty. Also, MD is posting pictures of people who are posting pics of the Aurora Borealis effects that are going on right now. Quite beautiful.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about the Night of the Living Dead lights. That's what I always call it when the Aurora Borealis comes down. It's like, is this going to be the one that makes everybody zombies?
Yeah, so if you guys are anywhere near where you can possibly see it better if you use the camera on your cell phone, believe it or not. So try using the camera to look to see if there are any borealis effects going on right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking out my window because it's kind of where the sun goes down, and I'm not really seeing anything here. I was hoping maybe I might be far enough, but may hold my camera up in a second and see if I see anything.
Well, this is truly a gift to people that might not otherwise see it. So that's kind of cool that it's going on. Personally speaking, I was hoping for zombies, but we got a virus instead, so, evens out,
Well,
I
I
guess.
mean, we already have a zombie in the White House, so there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
But anyway, so one of the things that I thought was interesting, because when you did finally send the article that you were referencing, I did look into it a little bit. What I thought was weird is, they made it possible for men to be able to make the first move if they're in the heterosexual category, but it still requires, unless I misread something, it still requires like a nod from like a woman. They have to go in and change a setting or something, or give them permission. I just thought that was like,
Yeah. So
really,
the woman
really,
is still in charge, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to defer to the men.
That's how most relationships work, anyway. The men may wear the pants. The men may wear the pants in the family, but the women are usually the ones that pick them out. Let's just not even pretend that's not a thing.
Like my dad says, I wear the pants in the family. Your mom just happens to be the one in charge of hemming, making sure the button works, the zipper is up, and the belt fits. So she's the one in charge. So anyway, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting switch from Bumble, because it was literally what made that side stand apart from the others. And the basic concept was that the woman was empowered with reaching out first, so that she wouldn't have to wait for men to reach out to her. But then women found out that when they do reach out, men can say no. And they didn't like that. So you'll see that there'll be an uptick in women deferring from that point of view. And I thought it was funny.
I just love the fact that it basically became an unintended sociology lesson.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And when I first heard of Bumble, I think that came out in the 2014, 15, 16, I don't know, some time around there. I was like, yay, another dating application. There seem to be so many. And I started questioning, why are there so many? What makes each of them different from the other? And it's basically how much of it is free is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So, but this one was different in that it was the women who were in charge of reaching out. And it was supposed to empower women. It was supposed to make them feel like they were in charge of their, matches. They were the ones that would, the whole feminist contract was being fulfilled, because they were the ones that would reach out to their potential matches. But what women forgot is that when that happens, the potential match has the power to say no. And that was a power that women enjoyed in other dating apps. They really enjoy having that power. So they couldn't have it both ways, and that's why they changed the policy.
Yeah, I mean, when a lot of the women start bailing because they're tired of rejection, when that was the whole reason you started the site in the first place, and then, you start having to leave people off and everything else. It's not necessarily the wrong move. I still, like you said, this was the one thing that kind of made them unique, but when they figured out that it wasn't really working as intended, or maybe it was, I don't know. I'm happy now, but I have to say, if we'd have done this story about 2 weeks ago, I'd have been reveling in the fact that women were getting massively rejected.
You can still revel in it. I do. It's fine.
I don't really care anymore now.
But, I found it very interesting that they did not expect the majority of women that had the complaints. They didn't expect that. And it flummoxed me, because they didn't think of that consequence. Whereas when I was growing up, I had to deal with the fact that nobody was going to ask me for my senior prom, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a boyfriend, so I had to go find somebody to go with. And I asked 9 guys, and only one of them had an excuse. It turned out that my friend Chris had a girlfriend, and he was like, my girlfriend said that I could go out with you, but I really feel weird doing so. And I said, hey, dude, it's fine. Not a big deal. It's cool, And I mean, this guy was like, he was so awesome. He went to medical school. He worked for Doctors Without Borders for a time. He went on he was in the Peace Corps for 2 tours. So he did 4 years of the Peace Corps. Then he did Doctors Without Borders, and now he has a practice somewhere in Connecticut or something. So he was, great guy. Don't get me wrong. But he felt really bad doing that to his girlfriend. So I completely understood. Everybody else, they just didn't want to go with me, right? But, I put myself there. That was my job, to find myself a date, because I didn't have a boyfriend at the time. And so I dealt with the rejection, and that was that. I learned rejection at a very early age. These women don't know what rejection is.
Well,
and when confronted with it, they freaked out.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, maybe it's not a thing anymore, but I remember when, it's called middle school now, but when it was junior high school, when it was like 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, because when I went to school, that's what it was. Now everything's gone to the freaking middle school model, which I, like, whatever. Anyway, one of the first dances in 7th grade was called the Sadie Hawkins dance, and that was the one, that was the one where the school that I went to, that's the one where girls have to ask the boys. So I was like, did you guys just not bother to ask, or what? Because I guess the thing that was different though is with that one, you kind of went whether you had a date or not. But the Sadie Hawkins dance was like the biggest wallflower event of all time, because the girls were supposed to ask, and the guys were afraid to ask, and everybody just sat on opposite sides of the gym for the whole night, and occasionally went to.
No, we had one. We had one each year. There was always a Sadie Hawkins dance. And freshman year, first guy that I asked went with me, a friend of mine. The one that was my first kiss, who then came out of the closet 2 weeks later, that guy.
Yeah.
And then my sophomore year, I think I went with my boyfriend. I asked him. That was easy. But my junior and my senior year, when I opted not to ask anybody my junior year. I just went by myself and just had fun. But, that was my choice, And all of my girlfriends for the Sadie Hawkins dance, they were all excited because they got to do the asking. And when they were, some of them were rejected the first time, they took it in stride. Rejection was something that we were taught about. And this is why it was to me, it was very eye-opening that women didn't like rejection. And so they were saying that it's too difficult, this is too hard, this needs to change. And finally, Bumble decided, okay, we'll change the policy to where you don't have to be the only one that approaches. You can actually put it on your profile, or, turn on the little button or whatever that says somebody can approach you instead. And so I found it very interesting that there were so many women out there that didn't deal with that very well, because, growing up, we all had to.
Yeah, it was just weird to me, but I don't know. When you said turn the little indicator on, or however you said it, the first thing I thought of was the highlighted Krispy Kreme. I'm going to hell.
Just to clarify, Steve was actually in college. That happened my sophomore year in college, not in high school. Yeah. He was not responsible for turning me down for the prom or anything like that.
All I know is.
But he wasn't. But he was still a jerk.
all I know is fuck Steve. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, fuck Steve. But yeah, so that was something that Gen X and millennials too. They know rejection. They can tell what rejection is and everything. But I think past millennials, we're not taught rejection very well. And there are two groups of Gen X parents out there. I've seen both. The ones that overcompensate and became helo parents, helicopter parents.
Yeah.
And the ones that were, you know what? I think my mom did okay. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing. That was me. My kids are literally feral. They're Gen X. Even though they're millennials.
As they should be.
They act more like Gen X. And so, at least in that respect, I think I did a pretty good job, that kind of thing. I always, if they wanted to do the whole soccer or t-ball or this or that, they had to come to me and tell me they were interested. They had to find their way to that. If they wanted to be in band, same thing. They had to come to me, tell me they were interested. They had to figure out which instrument. They had to go, figure out how much the instrument was. They had to do it. They had to do all the research. That was the deal. If you're interested in something, you need to come up with a plan. Now, I'll help you execute the plan, but you have to come up with a plan. That's what my parents did to me. I wanted to be in orchestra. I wanted to learn to play viola. I told my dad where to get the viola. I told him how much the viola was for rental. My parents decided, you know what, we're going to buy it because it's cheaper to buy it and finance it than it was to rent it for 13 years or whatever, however long I was in college and school. So, and I took care of it. I still have it, So there was a plan. But I had to mobilize it. I had to do it. And, you have the helicopter parents that are like, oh, we'll put you in this, we'll put you in that, we'll put you in this other thing. And all the participation trophies go on this mantle and, blah, blah, blah. And you did so good and blah, blah, blah.
And then your kids burned out by age 12 because you made them do everything every day for 5 years. But yeah, interesting thing as far as that kind of stuff, because, most of you guys know this, but I had some ambulatory issues and stuff when I was a kid, and then physical therapy and everything else. So my dad was one of those dads that was like, no, you're going to try this sport. You're going to try this sport because it's things they need you to do. So, and back then it was offered at mostly local elementary schools. So, I did basketball, football, baseball. Well, started with t-ball, but I did all of it. The irony is, though, me being the awkward kid, played every single sport with a guy named AJ Hinch. And if you know baseball, you probably know who that is because he was the manager of the Astros when they won the 2020 World Series. I actually went to school and played sports with that kid. And I'm like, what the hell?
I know. It's really weird when you look back and you're like, oh yeah, I went to school with that guy. My brother to this day freaks out about the fact that I knew Chuck Doblock, that we were in the same, we were in the same class together. We were study partners.
Yeah.
And he's like, you mean the guy that played for the New York Yankees? I said, that's the one. Nah, you're lying. And I'm like, I am not lying, and I will prove it to you. And I did, gloriously.
Yeah, he was always the kid that was just good at everything. I actually didn't get to know him until after my parents divorced because first, fourth grade year, my parents were going through divorce, and I just didn't care, so I just stopped doing anything. I still managed to almost pass. I had a high D. I wasn't good enough for my mom, so she asked the teacher to hold me back anyway. So I went through fourth grade again, and that's when I met AJ. And for the 2 years that we were in the same classes, we hung out all the time. And we did all the sports, even though I sucked at him. He was awesome. It's like every sport that the dude tried to touch, he excelled at it. And I followed his career for a while, and the last I knew, he was playing for the Diamondbacks. And then I got busy with things and stopped keeping up with it. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing on the news, AJ Hinch managing the Houston Astros wins the World Series. I'm like, can't can't possibly be that age Ange. And I went and looked, and I'm like, holy shit, I know that kid.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm like, I went to school with that guy. I went to school with that girl. Holy crap, that was my teacher in, college. They're writing a famous book or whatever. It's like, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Rick Riordan, who did the Lightning Thief books, Percy Jackson. He was actually a school teacher here in San Antonio. And he used to have like a writing seminar for kids and all that stuff before he became famous. And we used to go do it all the time. As a matter of fact, I bought all of his books at the Barnes and Nobles there because he would go in and randomly sign them and then just walk out because nobody recognized him. So those of us who had attended his little seminars and stuff for kids, we knew him. So I managed to get all of them, and they were all signed and everything. I actually gave a few away to friends of mine who were big fans, and they were like freaking out. They're signed. And I'm like, yeah, he's really cool. He just walks around and does this for fun. But eventually, he moved to North Carolina, so we don't get them anymore. But, we knew him before he became the author of these very famous young adult books that have now been turned into movies and shit. So, but to us, he was just a really nice English teacher.
Yeah, Z's fangirling in the chat right now, by the way.
Oh my God, I didn't know. I haven't been reading. Yeah. So we used to run into him a lot over at in the Stone Oak area in San Antonio. It was a lot of fun, running into him and stuff. And he was always very gracious. And once he became famous, before he moved, one of the things that he would do was he was very much encouraging kids to write. And he said, you don't just write. You don't have a story. You don't have a plot. You don't have the struggle. You don't have the finish. It doesn't matter. You just start writing, and then eventually the plot catches up with you. And I took that to heart, and so did a lot of the kids. And so it was a lot of fun to go to those little shindigs of his.
Well, yeah. Well, the funny thing is mentioning that, because I'd mentioned something similar to Z the other day. One of the character points in one of Stephen King's books, The Dark Half, I'm assuming you've read it, was...
I've seen it. I don't read Stephen King much. It freaks me out.
I used to. Yeah, I actually used to have an annual ritual. I would reread The Stand every November. I don't have my copy anymore. I'd have to get a new one. But anyway, so there was basically the premise of the book is that there was a writer who was originally a twin. There was an absorption. Part of the twin is still in there, and occasionally the twin comes out. Well, when the twin comes out, he writes all these elaborate stories and this, that, and the other, but he does it with a notebook and an old, not even necessarily. I don't even remember. I don't think it was like a number 2 pencil. I think it was like a charcoal. It was something weird. I don't remember, but I remember reading about it afterwards in one of the interviews that he did, and he said, "Yeah, that's actually something that I do." He's like, if I'm writing something and I get stuck, I just pull out a notepad and a pencil and I just start writing till I'm unstuck. He said it doesn't matter where I start because I always wind up in the same place, and it's wherever I need to be. And I'm just like, that's kind of good advice. I've done that on a few of my short stories over the years when I get stuck.
That's very cool.
Even though I can't really stand King anymore, he still gave good advice once.
Well, the weird thing is the character arcs in most of his book tend to be conservative. It's really strange.
Yeah,
he writes from that point of view, but he is the most icky leftist person. No, he's not the most. I think it's a three-way tie between Mark Hamill, Rob Reiner, and Stephen King.
Dude, Rob Reiner's so disappointing. I grew up watching him. Granted, I grew up watching him being made fun of, but I still really enjoyed the character, and I liked the way that he and O'Connor played off of each other, and to find out that he's just, I mean, I'm really starting to think the brainworm thing may be more common than anybody wants to admit, because I'm thinking they're infesting most of Hollywood, because it's the only way half this stuff could be happening.
Well, there is an infestation in Hollywood, that is for sure. We just don't know exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, so Diddy might know. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, well, we're almost near at the top of the hour, so we can cut out earlier if you want.
It'll take you like 5 minutes to tell everybody where you gotta do your stuff anyway.
I don't have that much. You have more than I do.
Not really. Not when you add the next one that starts next week.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know how I got roped into that one either, but it sounds fun.
You can blame me for that one, because she wanted me to sit second chair, and I'm like, I will produce, but that's not really my cup of tea, and I know somebody whose is. And then I told her to ask, and then next thing I know, you were in, and I'm like, did you actually ask, or did you just? But anyway.
I was just thrown in there. I don't know. But anyway, well, okay, so you can find me at Aggie Beacon and at Aggie the Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can also find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with the ever suave Brad Slager. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Friday nights doing He Said, She Said with our awesome producer, Rick. For last Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern, we do Toxic Masculinity, where the guys, namely G, Rick, Orty, and Andrew, get together, and we host the Babe of the Month, and I bring the drink of the evening. And once a month, the second Monday, but it's about to become the first Monday. I have to talk to Jeff about that. We do Spirited Books, where Jeff and I, and occasionally a guest, talk about the latest books that they've been, reading, and we do. It's kind of a fun review, and we put a cocktail or brew to match whatever we're reading. So that has been a lot of fun. And now we're doing twice a month True Crime, Talk Murder to Me at 9 p.m. Eastern every first and second Wednesday, or how's it going to work?
No, it's alternating Wednesdays.
Alternating Wednesdays. Okay. So, and the first episode is dropping next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, next week's going to be busy for me. I have four podcasts. Holy crap.
Aggie's becoming the new Orty.
Apparently so. How about you, Rick? Where can we find you?
It's easier to figure out where you can not find me. But anyway, you can find me Tuesday through Fridays doing the Rick Robinson Show, 3 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, right here live on KLRN Radio. I produce for most of the stuff you were just talking about, so I'm not really going to go through all of that again. You can also find me most Wednesday nights doing Whatever with Stacey Lennox starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can find me after that producing for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show, unless it is Toxic Night, as you had just discussed. And then every other Wednesday, I'll be producing for you and Laura on Talk Murder to Me. And then Orty and I will finish everything off with the Rick and Orty Show on Wednesday nights. Thursday nights, I do Jen and Rick, and that is 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday nights, I'm usually hanging out with you, talking about this kind of stuff, starting, of course, at Aggie time. Saturday nights, or every other Saturday night, is Juxtaposition, 10 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night is a Juxtaposition night. I still need to get the notes over to Orty, though, because it's been a week. And then Sunday nights, America Off the Rails, 10 p.m. Eastern. When I'm not doing all of that, you can find me as a contributor on Twitchy.com, theloftusparty.com, and MisfitsPolitics.com when I have things that I can post over there. And starting soon, contributor and managing editor to thedigitalbeacon.com. And not only all of that, I'm also the executive producer of the Loftus Party podcast. And you can also find me on most social media platforms at RowdyRick73. And hi, my name's Rick. I'm a workaholic. I'm insane. And my last meeting was forever ago. How are y'all?
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We hope you had a lot of fun as we dissected the dating app conundrum.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you.
Oh, sorry.
Huh? No, go ahead.
I was just saying the dating app shenanigans, but I didn't mean to step on you.
No, that's a better one. Good night, y'all.
Swipe left. Swipe left. It's a trap.